Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to today's SEJ Think Tank with none other than Larry Kim of WordStream. Say hi, Larry.
Hey guys, hope you can see me here. I'm trying this webcam thing.
So we're going to have a really long presentation today. I think Larry's put together something around 120, 123 slides to go through. So I'm going to do some housekeeping before we get started and do this fairly quickly. So I'd like everyone to know that the official hashtag today is hashtag SEJ Think Tank. If you have any questions or want to tell the world that you're attending today's webinar, please do so on Twitter with hashtag SEJ Think Tank. As you can see, Larry is monitoring his notifications on Twitter as we speak, and that would be fantastic. We're also going to kick things off with a poll today. Let's go to the next slide, Larry. So we want to get an idea of what is basically your level of AdWords understanding. That way Larry can craft his delivery accordingly. So I'm going to launch this right now. Okay, so how long have you been doing PPC advertising on AdWords? Never. You're new to AdWords and have never heard of AdWords before. Less than a year, you're a newbie. 1 to 2 years, you're starting to learn. 3 to 5, you're almost a master. And then 5, you're getting pretty close to Jedi Master status. So if everyone could take the time to vote right now, we have about 67, 68% in. So the polls are closing soon. And I'll go ahead and do a countdown. I love getting about 85 to 90%. So here's your final chance. 5, 4, 3, 2. If you haven't voted yet, vote now. 1. Okay, closing the polls and sharing the results. So what are your thoughts on this real quick, Larry?
Well, maybe could you illustrate what it is we're looking at, as I am not able to see that?
Oh, my bad. Sorry. So we're looking at the results of the poll. How long have you been doing PPC advertising on AdWords? We've had 23% say 1 to 2 years, 22% less than a year, 21% 3 to 5 years, and then 22% 5 or more years.
Oh my gosh.
Only 12% of attendees have come in and said never. They have never done AdWords. They're new to AdWords.
Cool. That looks like we're all over the place here.
That's great. That's more of a challenge for you today. Okay, so we're back to the presentation. Again, this is Lauren Baker. I'm the founder of SEJ and Foundation Digital, my agency, and then also Larry Kim, the founder of WordStream. So before I hand things over to you, Larry, I'd just like to also remind everyone that we're going to have a survey today after our Q&A session, and to please ask your questions in the question box on the GoToWebinar control panel. We will be reviewing your questions, and Larry will be answering them in a Q&A session at the end of his webinar, or the end of his presentation. So Larry, it's all you.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren, and thanks everyone for coming. It's so great to be doing this with the Search Engine Journal audience. I've been working on this presentation since 2 a.m. this morning, so I hope you like it. I just wanted to introduce myself briefly with a couple of random facts before jumping into how to kill it on AdWords. I'm from Canada, originally from a city called Winnipeg, which is super famous for being colder than Mars for about half the year, we also have this hockey team, but anyways, I moved to Boston a couple years ago because I heard the weather was so good here, and I just wanted to share some photos from last year. I actually live in a city called Cambridge, just right across the river from Boston, in Harvard Square, which is kind of like a little neighborhood. It's really famous because that's where Facebook was founded and Microsoft was founded. It's also where WordStream was founded, believe it or not, initially in a Panera Bread. By myself, working there for the free Diet Coke and soda. It's like kind of the Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. We've kind of upgraded our digs recently to a little better place. Where we have about 200 people here managing about $500 million of ad spend for over 10,000 customers worldwide. So we're actually one of the biggest PPC software and services company in the world. Just another crazy fact about me, my first guest blog ever was on Search Engine Journal 6 years ago. And so guys, if you ever want to kind of make a name for yourself in the space, I highly recommend, talking to these people. They're great. It's a great community. And last crazy fact about myself, I have a 1-year-old at home, and his name's Julian, or hashtag PPC Kid. All right. Oh my God, what the heck is this, Lauren? There's an interruption here. It says we interrupt this broadcast. Uh-oh. There's a different presentation here, Lauren. It says Google eliminates right side ads. What does it mean? Oh my
Oh
goodness. So
no.
it's like a presentation in a presentation. It's crazy. It's like two presentations within one presentation, and like Inception or Russian dolls or whatever. Basically. So I just wanted to talk, 5 minutes about this crazy thing going on where the right-hand side ads are gone. That just happened about 2 weeks ago, and I just wanted to share some information for everyone who might be wondering what the heck is going on here, because there's certainly a lot of hype. Here's one from my friend Perry Marshall, who's who's comparing this wipeout of right side ads to like a disaster of biblical portions, basically. I don't know if that's a great comparison. There's definitely a lot of companies claiming that CPCs have skyrocketed. As much as 10.5%. So what's really happening here? And because WordStream works with tens of thousands of customers, I'm able to do some research and share some insight that might be a little bit more accurate than a lot of these claims that are just based off of gut feel or whatever. So the first thing I just wanted to say was that in general, the amount of ad clicks generated by the right side of ads wasn't very much to begin with. We were talking 14.6% for both the side and the bottom of ads. So the vast majority of the clicks, 85.4%, were generated by those top three ads that used to exist. It's now four of them. So just context here, we're talking like that little orange sliver on the pie. The second thing I wanted to bring to people's attention is this is a desktop change. So it has nothing to do with mobile search. It has everything to do with desktop layout. And as you can see, this just shows like kind of the share of clicks over the last couple of months. And you can see how like mobile is kind of really, really increasing, and desktop is kind of in the rearview mirror anyways. And poor tablet is going nowhere. So so basically we're talking 14% of a small share of the minority of search clicks. So that being said, let's analyze what's happening to the campaigns. So the first thing that I noticed, and this is what research was done by a guy named Mark Irvine, who's our data scientist at WordStream. Basically, what I can tell you is that if you look at the kind of daily click-through rates, 2 weeks before the change, you see kind of the daily fluctuations based on the day of the week, and that was pretty steady. But then the orange line, that's after the change, we're definitely seeing an increase in click-through rates, and obviously that makes sense because you have this new fourth ad at the top of the page, and that's much more prominent than kind of those right-hand side rails. So this is the average click-through rate across all the different ads, in various positions, and you can see that's creeping up. So I think that's good news for pay-per-click marketers because obviously we're trying to pay for relevant clicks, and so obviously a more prominent positioning is probably good news. When it comes to shopping ads, these have a huge increase. So the fact that shopping ads are much more prominent and have no competing ads on the side makes them even more likely to be clicked on now, and we definitely see a huge bump in share of shopping clicks. So if you're doing e-commerce, this is probably good news. And it didn't really even make sense. Why would someone in e-commerce want to have both a beautiful PLA and kind of like a not so beautiful text ad on the right side? I never really understood that. So the number of desktops. So the other thing we looked at was the total number of clicks being delivered to these clients, and week over week over week over the last 4 weeks. That's 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after the change. What I can tell you is that the clicks are steady or even up slightly. So more clicks, as you might expect, due to more prominent positioning. So again, good news for pay-per-click advertisers, I think. If the click-through rate is up and the number of clicks are up, you can kind of infer that ad impressions might be down slightly, and of course that makes sense because positions 8, 9, 10, and 11 were eliminated, and so you can see here in terms of the ad impression volume per week for our customers, we saw that take a dip, not not huge, but it went down a bit. And here's the money one. Basically, people are, claiming cost per clicks are going up or down. We're not seeing big changes here in terms of cost per click. It's basically pretty flat, or if anything, it's gone down a little bit, which makes sense because Google kind of charges you less if you get a higher click-through rate. They charge you more if you're in a low click-through rate. So those ads on the right-hand sides are actually not always that cheap. They're often very, very expensive because they could be kind of the worst ads that no one's clicking on, and so you're getting those huge taxes applied to you. So that being said, they did get rid of positions 8, 9, 10, 11, and I just wanted to do one other check to see, like, how I was saying earlier, Lauren, like 15% of the clicks came from the right side. I wanted to get even more granular and find out how much clicks were generated by each different ad position. And you can see, the lion's share, 85% of clicks were being done from the top 3 positions. That's increased in the new world to over 90%, okay? Position 4, has substantially increased from like 5 to 10% of clicks. But look at positions 8, 9, 10, 11 that were eliminated. Previously, before the change, they were accruing 0.2% of the clicks. And I think the reason why they eliminated them was because no one was clicking on them, right? You've got all those, 4 ad spots, 3, 8, 9, 10, 4 ad spots, and no one was clicking on them. So I guess they thought, why bother having them? So it kind of makes sense to me. And so yeah, I think that's pretty much a summary of all the changes: cost per click, impressions, click-through rate, cost per click. And one small bonus that I would say that we benefited from here is that there used to be this weird thing where the ads at the top could have extensions, whereas the ads on the right side did not have extensions. So like location extensions, call extensions, call-outs, review extensions. That was a special feature for the left side ads, and so now we can enjoy this feature for all of our ads, regardless of the ad position. So ad extensions for everyone. Hooray! So it doesn't really, like, it's not a make or break, but it helps a little bit. So honestly, from a PPC marketer's perspective, I do both PPC and SEO marketing in my spare time, but I'd say that it doesn't seem like an Armageddon to me. If anything, it seems pretty steady, or slightly better in terms of the various things that we're just talking about. The offset, that small drop in clicks from the higher positions seems to be soaked up from that new 4th ad position, which would imply that maybe they're just dipping into organic search a little bit, and that's probably the case, at least as far as my data shows. So that's all I had to say about the right-hand rail. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming, which was the top 5 AdWords hacks of all time. And by the way, some of this stuff is not official Google information. It's my own information, and some would view it as being a little bit controversial, maybe even opposite to what Google says that you're supposed to do. But I'm just, I have a lot of data, as you can see here. Hopefully, I can convince some of you to take the leap of faith and join the AdWords hacker rebellion here. All right, so here's that's a mistake, I should say. The number 5 AdWords hack, not social ads hack. It has to do with hacking this algorithm called AdWords Polyscore. This is the key to everything. It's like, basically, as I was saying earlier, there's this kind of funny algorithm where Google needs to decide, usually there's more than one advertiser advertising on the same keywords. They need to decide which ads to show, in what order, and how much to charge them. And so it's not just based on how much you're willing to bid, it's also related to the quality of the ad, if people are clicking it or not. And basically, what I can tell you is that on average, there's like a quality score 5 or 6 is kind of the middle of the range, but the higher your quality score, the less you'll pay for those clicks. And conversely, the lower your quality score, as you fall below the average, you get this huge penalty of like 25 to 400% tax on those cost per clicks as a result of being, kind of not a great ad. So hopefully this convinces you that you should care about quality score. Another reason why I think you should care has to do with ad impression. Ad impression share is like the market share for the ads. Obviously, if you're running ads, you would like them to show. Otherwise, why are you bothering creating these ads in the first place if they're not being shown, right? Basically, Google will serve your ads more frequently the higher the quality of the ad. So what we're finding is every point increase or decrease in quality score results in a plus or minus 9% kind of percentage of ad impression share. And so, by the way, this is just kind of reverse engineering quality score using our customer data. It's not official. Google, they don't tell you this. It's like just kind of like in SEO, they don't tell you how to get to the #1 ranking. But people have their theories. The reason why impression share matters, of course, and quality score, it's very, very competitive on desktop, but it's even more competitive on mobile. And what we're finding is that the impression share metrics are twice as competitive, and so we think the quality score matters twice as much on mobile. If it's not just about what your impression share and cost per click, it's also the quality score impacting your cost per conversion. And so when I look across lots of verticals and lots of different industries and look for average cost per conversion for the things that they're selling, we do see a correlation between the quality scores and the cost per conversion. Roughly 1 point or increase or decrease in quality score will typically will result in a 16% increase or decrease in cost per action. And so that's kind of interesting. What's happening here is just that the leverage on the cost per click is so huge, ranging from a 50% discount to a 400% tax, and that huge penalty or tax then kind of reflects itself in the cost per action calculation. So guys, I think one of the key takeaways here is to get a high quality score, obviously, and that's me from Halloween a couple years ago. I weighed a little more then. But anyways, it's all good and great to say getting a high quality score, but it's also very frustrating because people want to know how to get that high quality score. How is it actually calculated? And again, this, a little bit of math and some data, it's not all that hard to figure out. It's not like SEO where data of how these accounts are performing. And so I can do the thing here where you just calculate, so what's an expected click-through rate for an ad in various positions. And so I was able to come up with this plot. And then basically, after fudging around with a bunch of different theories, what we found was that the quality score is largely just a matter of beating a expected click-through rate for a given ad position. So, if you're in the top position, you're expected to get a higher ad click-through rate because it's more visible, right, as opposed to being at the bottom of the page. So, for every ad spot, for different industries, for different times of day, for different countries, there's generally kind of an average click-through rate for different ad positions, and you just have to be above that average. If you are above the average, then you'll get a quality score 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you're below it, you're going to get a quality score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's that simple. Just beat the expected click-through rate. So sometimes people tell me it's not possible to get a high quality score for my industry, and that's absolutely false because it's just you're grading on a curve. By definition, half of the advertisers are going to be above average, and half of the advertisers are going to be below that average. So if there's, chances are if they're saying you can't get a high quality score, it might be the operator issue rather than the it might just mean that they can't get a high quality score. So basically, here's the key to success: get a high quality score. Keep those average click-through rates high. That'll get you the high-quality scores, and just say no to low click-through rates. So some people have this crazy idea of I'm going to try to intentionally sabotage my ads with low click-through rates so that nobody clicks on them. That strategy that might have worked 10 years ago. It does not work anymore. So yeah, just high quality score. You're going to have lots of ad impression share, low cost per click, and low cost per conversion. The opposite is also true, which would be a bit of a death spiral. So quality score, I'm kind of obsessed with quality score. I'll admit that. It's not just a function of search ads, it's also in Gmail ads. So if you're doing Gmail ads, the higher the open rate, the less you'll pay for those clicks. It's also in the Google Display Network. So if you're doing image display ad retargeting on websites, the higher the click-through rates of those ads, the less you'll pay for those clicks. So even though they don't tell you this and they don't show you that information, generally it is true that the higher the click-through rate, the better you will be. Moving on to my number, wow, this is kind of weird. This is supposed to be my number 4 hack, which has to do with hacking ad click-through rates with unicorn ads. And so here is my thinking here. What if I told you that that 2% click-through rate that you're so excited about isn't that great? That might be news to some people because it's hard to know. It's hard to know if your ads are doing good or not because they only tell you what your click-through rate is. They don't tell you what everyone else's click-through rate is. Basically, again, having data, it's kind of an unfair advantage. I can just do a plot and figure out all the different click-through rates, and what I can tell you is that there's a lot of variance. Like the average click-through rate, that's the orange curve at the bottom. The top 15% of AdWords accounts will do 2 times better. That's the green line, and then the top 5% will do the top 5% of ads will do 3 times better than the expected average click-through rate. And so basically, there's this notion of donkeys versus unicorns. I mean, if your ads are kind of falling in the body, like the whole point of this is it's competitive. Like you're competing against other advertisers. We can't all be above average here. So basically, if you're in the bottom half, then you're a donkey. I'm sorry, but that's the problem. AdWords just makes it really hard for companies that are below average. If you can get into the top 1%, that would be 6 times the average. Then your ad, I would call that a unicorn because that is such a beautiful and rare creature and so remarkable. So I think we should strive to create keyword and ad pairings that are unicorns rather than donkeys because of the increased click-through rate and how that impacts quality score, as I was talking to in my number 5 hack. That is the key to everything. And so if we could have, imagine if your account could be full of magical unicorns with high click-through rates, and imagine what that would do for your click-through rates. Your impression share would go up, and your customer conversion would go down. So that's pretty wonderful. So how do we make these unicorn ads? So one of the things that people typically use is this thing called dynamic keyword insertion. I'm sure everyone has seen this. It's where you search on a keyword, and like a lot of the ads seem to be parroting back the same keyword, the exact same keyword that you just searched on. And so people think, oh, that's what I was looking for, so I'm going to click on this thing. So that's dynamic keyword insertion. I researched hundreds of thousands of dynamic keyword insertion ads versus ads that don't use dynamic keyword insertion. What I can tell you is that it produces above average results, but not spectacular / remarkable unicorns. So like if you're just trying to get above average, which is like a big part of being a winner, like as long as you're not below average, you're doing okay. Then dynamic keyword insertion is kind of like an easy pass. You know what I mean? Like it's a relatively low effort, high impact way to get to the upper middle class of ads. But what about unicorns? And so unicorns being the top 1% of ads. What about those? Do unicorns use dynamic keyword insertion? And what I can tell you here is that they don't. They actually rely on kind of witty copy or emotional triggers or unique selling propositions or a guarantee. Like they use some kind of a really clever marketing, basically, and then that really outdoes the dynamic keyword insertion. What about ad extensions? Of course, it's hard to come across an ad text optimization, article or webinar that doesn't talk about using extensions. Are they a miracle, a unicorn maker? Can we add these little call-out extensions or review extensions to the bottom of an ad and make a unicorn? And so I did some research here. Basically, they all help. So you absolutely should be using as many ad extensions that you can be eligible for. However, the lift is typically around like 8%, 8 or 9%. And so if your click-through rate was like 3.0%, maybe you get to like 3.1%. Not a huge difference in my opinion. Like I'd rather be interested in a 15% click-through rate rather than a 3% click-through rate. So definitely use them, but you can't just slap on an ad extension on a non-unicorn ad and hope that it'll become a unicorn ad. No, that doesn't work. So how do you write these unicorn ads, the kind of the top 1%? 90% of ads in the AdWords system based on their high click-through rates, based on the expected click-through rate. And so I've built a unicorn detector, everyone, that I will be sharing with you today. But first, there was one observation. Keep in mind, an ad is both it's a pairing of a keyword that you're interested in, and then an ad that gets triggered when someone searches on that keyword, right? So the first thing that I notice is that the keywords that people select are high commercial intent in nature. So it's like the intent of the person executing the search has to do something with buying something, like toaster oven reviews or stainless steel dishwashers. What we're finding is people are much more likely to click on ads if they were already in the mindset of wanting to buy something, right? Those click-through rates are through the roof, actually. And conversely, there's many different types of keywords in terms of the different intents, but one of the worst performing keyword types is kind of question/informational keywords. So, like if someone's searching for who is Thomas Edison, or when's the election, they almost never click on ads. It's like they're not looking to buy something. They just wanted to figure out some fact about that there was something that was on their mind. So just my one piece of advice here is just focus on the kind of the branded and high commercial intent keywords and maybe even local keywords, but eliminate the informational question keywords that are kind of ambiguous in terms of commercial intent. So guys, here's an interesting fact. Most of the ads in the AdWords universe suck. So here's what I'm talking about. Big data solutions, search, all these ads, they're okay, but they don't really they're just meh, right? So I call this an AdWords jackpot. An AdWords jackpot because look, it kind of looks like I hit a row of big data solutions, just like a row of lucky sevens in Vegas. It's also an interesting opportunity, a valuable opportunity for optimization. By the way, that's like, if you've never heard of AdWords jackpot, that's like not an official word. I just made that up. Here's just another example. It has to do with hitting the AdWords jackpot for shopping results. So here I hit a row of iPad minis. I'm so lucky. What I'm suggesting is you don't, like when you see an AdWords jackpot, you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to be different. And so the hack here, the unicorn creation hack, is to use emotional triggers in your ad copy. So take a look at these different personas: the bearer of bad news, the hero villain, the comedian, the feel-good friend. What you need to do is not write the ads from the perspective of a vendor, but rather write your ads from the perspective of one of those four personas. So this is an example of a unicorn ad that gets 6 times the average click-through rate. 6 times. This is the top 1%. It says, who is your husband with? Is he sleeping with her right now? Get revenge and a smile on your face. All right, so we're using this process. Who was the hero? It's the divorce attorney. Who was the villain? The husband mistress. And what was the emotional trigger that we were leveraging? It's revenge, anger, all that, very emotionally charged stuff. So this thing generates 6 times higher click-through rate, and I think you can see why. Another thing about this is that it really sticks out on the page, because when I do search for that keyword, everybody else is junk. It's just a dynamic keyword insertion, and no one is really differentiating their marketing here. So yeah, don't just use the same ad as everyone else. Instead, you got to find those hidden emotions and try to trigger them, bring them to the surface in your ads. Essentially, be a unicorn in a sea of donkeys. I wanted to just give you one more example of unicorns. I could talk for days about unicorns, believe me. But basically, here's like a generic ad. It says breast cancer screening with early detection survival rate is 100%. Book an appointment today. It's not a bad ad. It wasn't a donkey, but it just wasn't a unicorn. Okay. So in this case, let's try rewriting this ad from the persona of the bearer of bad news. Okay. So here's what we came out with: breast cancer screening. 15% of women live 5 years with late detection. Get screened. So what's the emotion that we're using? It's fear. And this ad is a unicorn, has 6 times the click-through rates, but it's not just about the click-through rates. It's also about the conversion rates. Like what happens after people see these unicorn ads? Well, it dramatically increased the daily appointments being booked, and also dramatically increased the number of calls being phoned in every day. And so what's happening is it's that same emotion that drives people to click is also driving them to convert like crazy. Oh, and by the way, those calls, those 27 calls, they're worth a lot more than clicks to your website, right? Because the immediacy of mobile, it's like you have them on the phone right now, right when they're like fearing something, so you're more likely to set that demo than if they just sign up with some form and you get back to them a week later, if you can even get back to them. So that's what I'm talking about here, that these unicorn ads, they're really key in that they typically have kind of both higher click-through rates and also higher conversion rates as well. And so here are some of the emotions that make people click and convert like crazy: awe, anger, laughter, amusement, joy, etc. These are the emotions you should be considering tapping into. Repeat after me. I'm going to leverage emotional triggers in my ads, and I will not use dynamic keyword boring ads, basically. Dynamic keyword insertion is okay. It'll get you to kind of upper middle class, but just not a unicorn. All right, so we're down to my number 3 PPC hack, which has to do with eliminating the crappy keywords and ads in your account. So again, this is very, very controversial. I'm very convinced of this, having worked on this, but a lot of people have mixed feelings about this one. And so, guys, basically, there's a secret account-wide quality score. So in your AdWords account, when you look at the keywords and ads, it'll tell you what the score is for the keywords. Okay, like 7 out of 10 or 2 out of 10, right? But there's a secret account quality score that Google has for your entire account that they're not showing you. Okay, and that has a huge impact on how your account does. And so my crazy hack is to review your account not just at the keyword level, but at the account level, and just kind of basically what you want to do is make your entire account healthy by deleting kind of the junk in your account and then doubling down on the keywords and ads that seem to be doing the best. This is not unlike how in SEO, I mean, if you have kind of like a bad neighborhood in your website, that could bring down the rankings of other pages in your website, So basically, there's this there's this idea here. Here's a average account. Okay, so this is kind of the click-through rate versus the average ad position, and you can see here that there's each little green dot here is a keyword in the account, and that yellow line is kind of like the average expected click-through rate. So as you would expect in a keyword in an account, there's some keywords that are beating the expected click-through rate, and then there's some keywords that are falling below the expected click-through rate. So you might expect to see an account that have some high-quality score keywords and some low-quality score keywords. But basically what I'm finding is that in that case, you have basically, even though there were some keywords beating the average, below the average, the quality scores are all below average. They're all 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there's almost no 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that's really interesting. So the opposite is also true when you have an account that's mostly above average, and then there's some below average performing keywords in terms of their click-through rates. You might expect to see the quality scores will be kind of mostly above average, but some below average, correct? But in fact, when I look at the quality score distribution for that account, what you find is that all of the keywords in this account, even the crappy ones, are given a quality score of 10 or 7, meaning the account is in such good health that even the junk keywords in this account are being given a pass. What's a good quality score these days? It's around 6 out of 10. And so the crazy hack to increase the quality scores is basically, 1, if your quality score is between 1 to 3, I would recommend deleting or pausing that keyword. If it's between 4 and 6, try to fix it using better ads, match types, etc. If it's between 7 and 10, then don't mess with it. I mean, it's doing pretty well. Testing doesn't always work. You can potentially make a great ad worse. So if you're already getting a 7 out of 10, then don't bother. So we're down to my number 2 AdWords hack. I don't know why all the numbers are wrong, but anyways, this is my number 2 hack. That is to go after specific audiences using the power of remarketing, RLSA, remarketing lists for search ads, and custom audiences. So what the heck are all these things? But basically, up until recently, there was only one way to do search ads, which was to target specific keywords that you were interested in. But now you can go after people. So like specific emails, or only show your search ads to people who visited your site recently. And by narrowing that audience, you're actually going to dramatically increase the conversion rates while lowering the costs. And so remarketing search lists for search ads, RLSA, if you've never heard of this thing, it's pretty interesting. It allows you to target your search ads not to everyone who's searching on a keyword that you're interested, but only those people who are searching on the keywords that you're interested in and visited your site recently. And so the similar concept of customer match that allows you to target ads on YouTube, Google search, and Gmail ads, not to everyone on those platforms, but just only the people whose emails that you specify. And basically all you do is you just take the list of emails that you're interested in, upload them into Google, and because Google has so many products like Gmail and YouTube where people are generally logged in, it can figure out who's logged in, and then it'll connect it'll be able to show the ads to the right people. All right. So the interesting power of remarketing, whether you're doing it through RLSA or customer match, is that you typically see huge increases in click-through rates, like 2, 3, 4 times, even more, right? Because they're familiar with your brand, and then those high click-through rates will generate substantially lower cost per clicks due to the high quality scores, and then of course you're going to see much higher conversion rates because again they're familiar with your brand, and so these are the instant unicorns basically. Now, I just wanted to give you a couple examples of this. Here's like a customer, and basically what you're looking at on the right-hand side, look at it's called conversion value divided by cost. That's return on ad spend. For every dollar spent, how many dollars am I making in profit and revenue? So for the generically broad matched keywords, for every dollar spent, this customer was making $3.88 of revenues. But then for the remarketing list for search ads, like so people who've recently visited the guy's site, that ROAS increased from 3.8 to 5.58, so a substantial increase in return on ad spend. And then when I use email targeting, the cost per conversion value jumps up to like 9.43 times. So this is like ridiculous. Again, look at the same idea. It has to do with conversion rates. So of those clicks that you're buying, what's the propensity of them to convert to a sale? And it goes again from 11 to 23 to 31%, depending on how targeted you go on the audience targeting. Here's the click-through rate. So as you can see, generically targeted keywords for this guy, it's like 1.7%, hardly a unicorn. But when you add audience targeting through RLSA or email targeting, that jumps to 11 or 22%. So that's why I'm so excited about this stuff. And so what you can do if you're going to do customer match email targeting is just take your customer lists, or basically your big email list, and segment them based on the different segmentations, like big customers or people whose warranty expired, et cetera. So just figure out what are the different audience segmentations that you have for the email lists that you have, and then message very customized ads to different people based on their state or their identity. And of course, one criticism of this audience targeting is that it's very narrow. It's like not going after everyone. It's only going after the people that you're aware of. That would be like having only defense and no offense. And so the way to fix this is you just you go after similar audiences. So having uploaded a list of people, Google can kind of analyze those emails and figure out kind of what's the common denominator and find other people that are similar, that have like 99% similar characteristics to the people who were in the list that you uploaded. And this works really great. The cloning your audiences, it's not as good as your actual list of customers, but I wanted to give you an example. This is Gmail ads. So did you know you can use ads to get on the top of people's Gmail inboxes? Well, it's basically that's called Gmail ads. And what I wanted to show you was just two things. First of all, I'm doing these email ads and using customer match, and I'm getting a 12% click-through rate, 12.12% click-through rate on those ads, and that's really, really high. Like the organic rate of click-through rates of just email spam, it's maybe 5 or 10%. So I'm already beating organic. When I did a similar audience to that list of emails, the click-through rate just fell a little bit from 12 to 9, but it's still very, very high. And look at those cost per clicks; they're very cheap, 21 cents, 20 cents. Definitely very affordable. You're not talking like $10 a click or anything, and that's because the click-through rates are so high. It would be $10 a click if the click-through rates were like 0.5%. So the key here is that if the easiest way to find your unicorns, it's like you combine sort of the great ads and keywords that we were talking about before with the power of audiences, and those are your unicorns. I want to talk a little bit about conversion rates. So everything we've been talking about is kind of before they hit your website, but obviously there's conversion rates matter. And guys, this is like I said earlier, it's kind of crazy talk. A lot of the stuff, the A/B testing stuff, mumbo jumbo that people write about, a lot of it is a fairy tale, and the fairy tale goes like this. It's like, once upon a time there was a landing page, and we changed the font color and button color, and lo and behold, we got a 5% increase in conversions. Has anyone ever read one of those stories? Probably. But here's what actually happened. And I've seen this happen like 99% of the time. Basically, you run the test. Initially, like if you look at January 18, it looks like the new thing did so well, and it's like way ahead, and it's the winner. Let's declare him the winner. But what actually happens is, as time goes on, the early lead disappears, and these gains simply don't persist over time. And you know why this happens like almost 100% of the time? The reason is because the new thing that you created is no longer new. So it's like for the same reason why it did well when you launched it, it's going to do poorly a month from now, because it's people become accustomed to it, and it's no longer a new thing. Basically. My theory on reversionary optimization in terms of the crazy hacks, it's that the A/B testing and all this I think this is just it's just busy work. It's kind of overrated, and that doesn't really lead to sustained significant increases of conversion rates over time. The small little tweaks that you do typically results in small results, and those changes they don't persist. They're probably not real. It's a little bit like just prettying up the deck chairs on the Titanic. Some people do lead generation, and they do these changes where they change positioning and stuff, and they get more leads. But what they don't do is they don't follow that quality all the way to the sale. And so what often happens is that if you're just doing CRO on landing pages for lead generation, your conversion rate for leads might jump from 1 to 2 to 4 to 7%, but then the quality might decrease, like in terms of the marketing qualified leads. It might fall from 18 to 9 to 5 to 2%. So yeah, basically, I have a kind of a low opinion on conversion rate optimization, or at least most of it. So what's a good conversion rate? The average is around 2.35, but if you can be in the top 25%, it would be double, and if you could be in the top 10%, it would be 5 times that average. And so again, we're talking about donkeys versus unicorns. Why be a donkey with average conversion rate when you could be a unicorn with 5 times the conversion rate? And so I wanted to just show you one crazy hack to make your conversion rates go up and stay up forever without killing the lead quality. And basically, the hack is to change your offer. Okay, so like all these little things where you're kind of messing around with the phrasing and the buttons on your page, it's not going to make a big difference. The only big thing you can do is change the offer. And I wanted to just give you one example. The reason why WordStream is like the $100 million company it is, it's because we used to offer this WordStream trial, okay, where like a user had to fill out this long form and then sign up for a trial of this PPC management software and figure out how to use it. Took a long time and had a low conversion rate. What we did is we flipped it on its head, and so instead we offer now an AdWords grader, and what that does is it just goes in, analyzes your account, and tells you like how you're doing, and you don't actually have to do any work to figure this out. You see what I'm saying? So we made a small change to the offer, or actually a pretty substantial change to the offer. We flipped it on its head, and basically the business is like, I mean, that really made our business, no kidding. And so, my big CRO takeaway here, it's just like these little changes. It's like you're deluding yourself if you think they're going to make a difference. You should shoot for the big things instead. And so those are my 5 crazy hacking AdWords hacks here for today. I wanted to just do a poll question here, Lauren. It's basically for our audience. Can we launch the poll? Are you with me, Lauren?
Yes, absolutely. Launching it right now, Larry.
Hello? Oh, great. And so the offer is, would you like a free demo of WordStream Advisor for managing AdWords, Facebook, and Bing ads? Or would you like a free one-on-one AdWords account assessment with one of our certified AdWords professionals? Or, if you're not interested in finding any unicorns, and that's fine. You can choose a C. Those are my offers for today. Lauren, do we want to move to questions as we just leave the poll open?
Yeah, let me do this. Let's
Mute,
just leave
perhaps?
the poll open for
I'm not hearing
about
anything.
5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We've had about 60% vote thus far, and we'll move to Q&A from there. Can you not hear me, Larry?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, closing now. So please vote or select one of the following. You have a chance. And closing the poll. All right. So let's go to the next slide. We'll get in the Q&A.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much. That was a lot of information in a very short amount of time. And most of the comments that we had during your presentation were thanking you for the amount of rich information for a free webinar to attend. So that's fantastic. So thanks again, Larry. Before we get in the Q&A, really appreciate it. And I learned a lot on my side as well. That's always a great thing.
I'd be curious for your thoughts, or like like I said, it's kind of out there. Any things that kind of resonated with you in maybe in a like, wait a second, what kind of way?
Not necessarily wait a second what, but like really getting into simplifying the persona targeting and the ad messaging, right? Like the villain piece, or making it a little bit more negative to pull the person in, or whatever, based upon really to match their emotions up with the state of mind that they're when they're searching and looking for an answer. And it's just amazing for me to see the amount of people that use the same exact ad copy in their advertisements.
Yeah, it's up. It's like
Yeah,
95% of the ads. Yeah, pretty
yeah,
much.
and I just think a lot of it is dependence upon dynamic keyword insertion to be able to do that. It's crazy. So those are some
So,
fantastic examples.
it's funny. I know. I think. Well, when I think of you, Lauren, I think you're more of like a, I don't know, content marketing SEO type. Is it? Would that be a fair categorization?
Yes.
So like, in content marketing and SEO, it's like you live and die by those titles, like, because like if you don't have a great title, you're not going to get shared. And if you don't get shared, you're not going to get the traffic to get the links that are required to rank, right? And so it's like, the PPC ads and the SEO listings, they're kind of they look the same. They're like the same format and everything, like headline, two-line description, and yet the SEOs are like killing it on their ad copy, like, sorry, the headline and meta descriptions. But a lot of these PPC marketers are kind of mailing it in with just like dialing using dynamic keyword insertion instead of going for the kill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm actually glad that you brought that up because, like as you know, ever since Google Analytics and Google killed the ability to track uh, keyword referrals, right? What's happening with those keywords, and it really made us dependent upon looking at landing pages. they took away a lot of data that we used to be able to obtain. So from an SEO perspective, typically I'm asking clients to look into what performs the best for them on a PPC basis. So we're looking at the terms to target and this and that and conversion rates for specific terms and everything else. But one thing that we also look at are the titles and descriptions and calls to action within those ads to be able to help line it up or even tell a story down the page, right? Because if that specific Boston divorce attorney has a great listing in their Google result, maybe you can add to that, right? So the first, the ad being like, who is he sleeping with, whatever, have you, her or whatever, but then you can add upon that emotional pool in the title itself and the organic result later down the page in case they do scroll down. You're telling a story like, we found who he's sleeping with, it is her, and in the title. So there's ways that you can pull all of that together, and again, if you're doing great SEO and great PPC at the same time. I do have, we have about 9 minutes left, Larry, so I want to go over some of the questions
All right.
that came in. And the first one is going to, it goes back to that emotional ad copy and a little bit on the CRO side. So when you're running that emotional ad copy, do you also test the different landing pages, right, to continue to tell that story? So have that emotional pull in the landing page itself, maybe some calls to action that are very relevant to what you put in that initial ad, the AdWords.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you need everything to be aligned. Everything from the keyword to the ad to the landing page, and that alignment will definitely help things along.
Great, great. Also, Ali writes in with the question, an ad copy, is it an absolute? Do you always have to have a call to action within that copy itself? So I noticed on, I think it was it was the one that you rewrote. It looked like you had actually shortened and simplified that call to action and kept it in there. But do you always need a call to action in your AdWords ads?
I mean that's so easy to I mean, you can just try it out without it and see how it goes, right? If you have a really strong emotional trigger an angle that you're looking to pursue, that'll trump a call to action for sure. Hard, kind of hard to say without seeing the text of the ad. But that's the thing about best practices. They're just averages. On average, yes, it's true that you should have a call to action, but there's these outliers that do fantastically well, which may or may not have the call to actions.
Gotcha. For account quality score, if someone is going in and basically deleting or ending the ads that have an incredible, the keywords that have an incredibly low quality score, even though those keywords are typically relevant to the company, is it is it an option to move them into a different ad group or possibly even a different account
I mean, these are like
to still run those ads yet to not necessarily take down your entire account's quality score?
moving keywords from one ad group to another ad group is kind of like the oldest trick in the book. Come on, guys. Google is smarter than that. They'll figure it out. Like your quality score will pick up where you left off. You know what I mean? Like if you had a crap quality score before, it's not like just moving it to a different ad group. They'll be like, I've never seen this keyword before. I wonder how it'll do. No, it has a history that's permanent. Like whether or not you move it around from one account to another or from one ad group to another, and so I would strongly suggest here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying kill everything kill everything in your account. I'm saying just the worst 10 or 20% of the account, like the cancer that's killing your account. I mean, who likes cancer? Like, why do you want to keep it around? Just delete that. Even if it may seem relevant to you, to the business, like basically what it means is it's not relevant to your business as far as the people who are searching on those keywords are concerned. And so, like, why can't the customers be the judge of this? So I'm saying delete those, and then that's going to free up ad budget, okay? And then use that money to experiment in more profitable areas. Like, nothing's saying you can't find these customers elsewhere more cheaper. Like, maybe you could try Facebook ads, or maybe you could try Twitter ads, or YouTube ads, or display remarketing, or Bing. Like, there's got to be basically the idea of eliminating the bottom to find better opportunities elsewhere. I think that's a pretty good idea, and I'm reasonably confident that you'll be able to find better opportunities.
Fantastic. Quick question here. Does pause or remove matter
It it
in
doesn't matter.
Google from a quality score perspective? It does.
It does not matter. It has
It does not.
everything. Deletion just cleans up the clutter. So if you don't want to look at those stats ever again, then you can delete it. But why delete if you can just pause it? Because, like, who knows? Maybe you might want to know how your campaign did like a year from now. Like, you're like, how did that do back then? And if you delete it, it's gone forever.
Gotcha. It's great to know. So there's no difference, and it does not affect your quality score.
Nope.
Okay, great. These hacks are here's a question / comment. A lot of your hacks seem to be very B2C oriented. Do you think they work as well for B2B, especially the emotional ads?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So the emotional ads work better in B2B than B2C because the marketers are even less creative in B2B. Like, did you see that search for big data solutions? It was like, oh my goodness. They're like, yes, like you have some unique selling proposition, some reason why your business exists. You need to just express that as the emotional triggers that your customers are experiencing. It's not always obvious to marketers like what those are, and so one trick I have is to in your B2B form submission page where it says contact us, have one line that just says, what was it that you were hoping for us to help you with today, okay? And you would be surprised with what they came up with. And so that's actually how I came to my epiphany about the AdWords tool versus like here's a piece of software, try it out, versus like, you know what, don't bother trying anything out. I'll just generate a report card for you to see how you're doing, and it doesn't require any effort on your part. So basically, I just asked people what they were looking for, and it turns out they weren't looking to trial a PPC management software. They just wanted to know how they were doing in AdWords. And so, with that piece of information, like, oh my goodness, I have the wrong offer. I honestly think that these work better with B2B. In fact, I would say more than 70% of my experience, like as a PPC marketer, is on the B2B side. It's interesting that the user thought that it would do better for B2C, but no, I'm very confident that this is B2B friendly.
We have emotions too in the B2B world.
It's like the
They're
fear
not
of
all
losing the fear of being audited, or the fear of losing your data, etc.
The Fed's going to bust through your window.
Yeah.
Let us know now. Last question before we sign off, and just to let everyone know, if your question did not get answered, we're going to be sending Larry over the complete list and sending those answers out afterwards within Twitter and email, along with a recording of the webinar as well. So, and an update on the site. What's a good CTR for Gmail ads, Larry? You brought up Gmail in the past. This person's seeing 11% click-through rate, and they tweaked it, and it went up to about 26%. But they're wondering if that's good or bad, or if there's any trend, or if it's case by case.
There is a expected click-through rate for being at the top of the inbox. It's like the highest, like the 1% is like 25 to 30%. Like, that's
Okay.
If you're in that range, then you are the unicorn. Okay. If you're closer to like I think 5 to 10%, that seems to be more average. Below 5%, you're definitely below average.
Fantastic. Well, we've hit our hour mark. I'd like to thank you again, Larry, for taking the time to put all of this together. And just to let everyone know, we're going to be sending out a recap video and everything afterwards. So round of applause for Mr. Larry Kim. Fantastic work.
Thanks.
Our next SEJ think tank is going to be social media on a budget for best practices and tools for small businesses and nonprofits. So if you're a small business, make sure you sign up for that. It's with SEJ's own Caitlin Rulin, and it's going to be on April 6th at the same bat time, same bat channel. And after this webinar is over, you're going to be served a survey. And really, if you can, take the time to fill out some of the questions that lets us know how we did, how we can make things better, and just better your overall experience across the board. So again, before we sign off, thanks, Larry. Really appreciated the time. Anything you'd like to say before we close out?
Just, I love doing these things with you, Lauren, and thanks so much for the opportunity and for everyone for showing up today.
Great. Thanks so much. And I'll see you at SEJ Summit in Santa Monica, Larry.
Thanks. See you then.
Bye-bye, everyone, and thanks again for attending today's SEJ Think Tank with WordStream's Larry Kim.